Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today with Real Talk with Marty. I want to introduce my co-host, Isait de la Fuente, and also our beautiful guest and very smart Pat Sepulveda from PRMG Mortgage.
Hey.
Hey.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming by. I'm so excited to have you.
Yes,
We're super excited.
Yeah, so I'm really excited about having you here, Pat. I mean, I have to say, when I knew that she was going to come join us, I was just thinking of how do we, what do I say about introducing her, right? But because you have so much experience. And the one thing that just sticks to my mind is I don't know if there is another loan officer out there more knowledgeable than you. And that, I think you can attest to that too, right?
I mean, Pat, let me tell you, one thing I can tell you about Pat, she knows her underwriting guidelines.
Yeah.
Probably better than anybody out there in the marketplace. And I think that's one of the talents that is she has above, all other lenders. Because I know a lot of times when people can't get their loans done, and I'll say, give me the package, and I've been able to take it to Pat, and Pat's been able to close it. So, if she can't do it, she's going to tell me, Marty, it can't be done. So,
I was just going to say that because if she tells you she can do it, it gets done.
Bet your life, yeah.
I want to work with Pat now. She sounds amazing.
Yeah.
So Pat, tell us, how long have you been in the business?
I've been in the business 34 years now. I can't believe it. I'm so experienced, and the longevity is, you can tell you've been in a business for a long time when you start doing loans for the kids of your past clients.
Right.
And that's where we're at. And I think Marty's doing that and more now.
Right.
We're on
to the next generation, right, Pat?
Yes, 34 years. My son's 34. So I started by accident, and I knew I had to do something big. I was a single mom, and I gave him a great life. So here we are, 34 years later, and I still love what I do every day.
Every day.
Every day, I still love what I do. Whether it's busy, slow, hectic, not hectic, an REO crash, a boom, whatever. This business is amazing. Yeah, and I love providing housing.
We've all been through the good, bad, and the ugly.
Yeah.
So, and we make it pretty every time.
Let's not talk about ugly. This has been pretty ugly the last 2 years, though.
The last couple of years have been very challenging, of course.
Have been.
Well, not really, because, people have been buying real estate,
Yeah.
People thought the COVID came and that market was going to go down, and it didn't. On the contrary, the market went up, and you can see today we have more buyers than we have sellers. So it's a good thing. We just have to make sure we can get, all of our buyers into the properties that they want.
It's just it's been an adjustment, right?
An adjustment.
Really, because just the market, the industry has changed, right? The market has been changing and whatnot, and we just have to adjust to it.
I think people have been afraid of rates, and it caused some fear that if they had taken the time to really sit with us as professionals, they would have understood that high rates was actually going to be good for them. As the properties start to increase and the rates get better, the only one that benefited from this is the buyer. Mm-hmm. So, you can't take that back. Once they own a home, that becomes their asset. So it's a shame that not everybody took that advice from us all.
Yeah.
Because you guys know that I've been doing this for 46 years, and markets have gone up and down, but guess what? Prices have continued to still rise even through all those ups and downs. You see where we're at today.
How long have you two worked together?
Oh my gosh. How many years, Pat? Probably
We'll have to ask
25?
Jasenia when she closed her escrow.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Maybe 20 years?
Yeah,
maybe
probably.
20 years?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, 20, yeah.
At least, yeah. I remember I sent Marty, I wanted to impress her so much. I was at a Century 21. We hosted a social at, I don't remember what hotel, in Las Vegas for Century 21. And I wanted to impress Marty so much that I invited her, and she accepted. and she showed up, and I was so thrilled. And I sent her something after, and she didn't pay attention to me. But then I closed the deal. And Marty, that's where I impressed her. It wasn't about the social events or sending her flowers. It was about closing that one deal that nobody else could. And that was a special one.
Yeah, proving yourself to the client, making it happen for the client, making them happy. Because this, actually, it was Jasenia, who works for us, who was rejected on her loan. And I said, no, wait. And it was during the short sale market when prices were down. I go, no. I go, let's call Pat. So we called Pat, and Pat got her approved, and she was able to buy that condo for $190,000, and today it's worth probably $550,000. So, yes. Yeah. So you see, you gotta make the move. Eventually, the price is going to go up, and you're going to be able to own your own home.
Yeah. No, that's fantastic.
Yes.
That's fantastic. And obviously, you've been proving yourself continuously throughout this time. So, again, when I knew that you were coming in, I just want to take a full advantage of this opportunity. And I hope you don't mind, but I just kind of have some notes and things that I want to touch on a little bit. And I hope you don't mind.
I hope I can answer.
But, I want to ask you about this, the spring surge, right? And what do you think is a driving force for the spring surge?
I thought about that. And this spring specifically is a double surge because we know that the feds are going to start dropping rates, and they're already starting to stabilize. Right. We've had a nice winter with a lot of rain, and people are starting to see the sunlight, and it gets them excited to have their own home, to have their own yard, to be able to, go to Lowe's and buy something for their own house, not for the landlord's house. So I think that the need to have their own property, the need to have kids in school registered before the fall begins. I think the tax season also is another reason. And to be honest with you, if they're living in apartments, the congestion of whatever areas they're at may also be a factor. And I think the pandemic brought something very unique, and is that so many people can work from home. So that makes it a huge difference as far as affordability is concerned. They don't have to worry about car expenses and driving and gas prices. And so they can pretty much buy wherever they like. So I think there's a lot of good things happening for this spring specifically that is going to trigger a lot more buyers.
Great. You touched a little bit on tax benefits, and we don't have to get into the details of it, but just for anybody that's out there that's watching or listening, what does that mean? When you own a home, are there tax benefits?
Right. Well, when you own your home, you get the privilege based on our tax law to write off the interest and the taxes paid on the property. And there's limitations and restrictions. We're not tax professionals. We're just giving you the basic information. Anything more than that, you would need to see your own tax preparers for that. When you rent, that money is like your $3,000 or $4,000. You light a match to it, and it's gone. That's what rent is. You get to live in that house for that month, but that money is gone. When you are an owner, some of that money not only goes to the interest that you get to write off from your income, but now you start to put into your own house. Your house now becomes a piggy bank. So that is what equity is.
So an example is like if you're paying $3,000 a month in rent, you can technically afford, I'm just going to pick a number roughly, you can probably afford a $4,500 a month house payment. So because with that $4,500, you're going to write off the interest and you're going to write off the property taxes. So in effect, you can actually afford more than the rent payment. And that's another topic for another day. Right. But just know that. That's also one of the reasons. And after tax time, your tax man, if you're paying too much to Uncle Sam, might even suggest that you buy a house, or that maybe you can afford to buy a bigger house. Just depends on where you are in your tax situation.
That's correct.
But I think, if you consult with a good lender, they'll be able to sit down with you between them and your CPA, and you can see what you can qualify for and see what's going to work best for you. But, the one thing is that you've got to start saving now, especially if you don't own a home. Remember, I tell these young kids, you don't need the Louis Vuitton. You don't need the fancy car. You need to put all that money away and put it down you start saving for your down payment. Otherwise, all those things become worthless after a while. And at the end of the day, you have nothing. So start saving for that down payment, and let's figure out how we get you into a home. And Pat's got some other great ideas to get you in. Go ahead, Pat.
Well, if I can,
sure.
I do want to just make a point of what we're talking about, right? This specific topic. Anybody out there that is just looking at the payment, you're wondering whether you should buy or not. but you're just comparing the payment of what you're paying right now in rent compared to what it might be if you purchase. It's very important that you talk to the right lender and your CPA as well, because it might make more sense for you to purchase, just as Marty was saying, because of the write-offs and whatnot. It might actually work out in your benefit as far as a positive at the end of the day for you. So,
and let me add into that. Most people, when they come to us to get pre-qualified, the questions I always ask is, how much you pay in rent now? And what's your comfortable rate payment? That gives me an idea of where their mind is at. If they give me a decent number, I'm like, good, you're being realistic. Now you can do more. If they come out really super low, okay, you're being unrealistic. You'll be able to buy in Tennessee, not in Southern California, because your expectations and what you want is just not achievable here. And that's the ugly part of what we do. If you agree, sometimes they want to buy, they qualify for something, we just don't have it. Right. That's a Southern California problem. And maybe other parts of the country, but for the most part, what I want them to look at, or you to look at, is not just that payment, because you're looking at a payment. I'm paying $2,500 a month in rent. Now you want me to pay $3,500 or $4,000. Look beyond that. Now let's look at your income. Now let's look at your tax returns. Are you paying money at the end of the year? These are the things that we want to look at. Is this house that you're going to buy closer to your job? Are you now working from home? How much money are you saving there? There are so many factors that come into how you could achieve that payment. Now, don't make me look at your bank statements and tell you how much you're spending at Starbucks, for example. You take that out and there's another portion of your payment. And that's the truth. We're spoiled. We're spoiled.
No, so, I had a girl that used to work for me, and she was paying like over $200 a month on Starbucks. It's like, stop. Don't do that.
No. So let's look beyond that payment, initial payment. Let's talk about the overall goal that we're trying to achieve for you and your personal goals with your family, and what your current goals are to purchase a home. What's your 5-year goal? Is this your first time house? Do you plan on moving out of state soon? What are your goals? Everything's going to be very individual and personalized.
And it's really funny. Pat just, my hairdresser referred me a client, but they were going to sell the house he was living in for like 20 years, and he did not want to move. So I called the seller, and I negotiated, and I put it together. His rent was really low. Pat is doing the loan. She's already got him approved. The payment definitely is higher, but he has a room that he fixed up, and he's actually going to rent that room out, yes, which is going to help with this payment, even though the payment's more. We're figuring out a way to get him to stay in that home. And you know what? I went to see him yesterday. He was so excited because he's now going to be a homeowner, and nobody's going to be pushing him out of his property ever again. Right. It was awesome. And
that's a great example. All I heard from him was, oh, no, Pat, that's too much. Oh, no, I can't pay that, Pat. Oh, no. I don't want to spend more than $40,000. No. Well, guess what? He's signing docs today at 6:00.
Yeah.
So it was when I explained to him and I showed him numbers that made sense for him, that's when he had the aha moment.
Yeah.
Right.
I have to tell you, though, there's a little bit more to this story. Marty did something very clever. In the beginning, Marty did what? He made him go look at other houses.
Yeah, he went to look at other houses, and he goes, oh my God. He goes, I better buy this house. He goes, I'm going to open houses, and the lines are a mile long. He goes, I'm never going to be able to buy a house. And so we ended up putting the house that he lived in together for him. And it was actually, I went to see it. It's a good house. And then Fabulous. He showed me the little room that he was converting into a bedroom, and then the bathroom that he's renting it for $900 a month or $950 a month. So that's going to help him on his house payment. So
yeah, it is.
Anyway, that's a big win. I was really excited and so happy for a new homeowner.
And this is not a young new homeowner.
No, he's 60, isn't he?
Probably 60.
Yeah.
So we still made that American dream happen, even for somebody in their 60s. Now he's worried. Is he going to outlive that house? Who knows? But it's his house.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to worry about a seller coming telling him, you got to move in 60 days because I'm going to sell this house. He is the owner now next week.
That's amazing.
Like I always say, security, stability, and happiness in your own home. That's what you're looking for.
Yeah. So, and Pat, so how does someone get started? Like, how do you get started for people?
Call me, 626-991. That's how we start. Usually they call Marty, then they call me, they call Isait. No, in all reality is the desire is the first step. Do you really want to own a home? How much? What are you willing to sacrifice? Once they call a lender, they've already usually have spoken to a real estate agent, or they're, in Zillows, or they're doing whatever they're doing. They get a referral. So once I speak to them, the first things I want to discuss with them is the 3 things we need initially is your credit, your income, and how much money do you have or don't have. Because don't have is okay too. There are programs for you. So don't tell yourself, oh, I'm not going to call them yet because I only have 10,000 or 15,000 or I have 0 right now. Make the call anyway. Let's get you mortgage ready by educating you, by knowing what the plan is. And then we know that you'll be ready, maybe not right now, but maybe in 2, 3, 4 months, maybe 6 months, maybe by the end of the year. But don't try to figure out by going online what the payments are, what the house values are to determine what you're going to qualify for. That is really something we do. And there's a lot of moving parts involved with it.
Don't do it on your own. You want to talk to an expert like Pat, and have her, just do all your homework, lay out the cards, how much money, what it's going to cost you, what are your bills, what do you need to do? And maybe you're not ready now, but she can get you ready so that in the future, you'll be ready to purchase.
And then, so when somebody talks to you and provides you that information, right? What happens then?
So what we do is, fortunately, in today's world, in the lending world, we're able to do soft pull credit reports. So a lot of people come to us and like, oh, I don't want a ding on my credit. No problem. Soft pull credit reports are the answer. So we're doing that. Once I run the credit, then we'll look for income. Many times I can just talk to you and know based on your employment type what your income is. So now I know what your credit looks like, what your debts are, and now I know what your income is. Then we talk about how much you have in assets. Do you have a gift involved? Are you pulling money from a 401k? From those 3 factors, now we can determine what you qualify for. So you could qualify for what type of program, what kind of financing. That's where the fun begins. Once we determine if you're a first-time borrower with a minimum down payment or 20% down, that's when we issue a pre-approval. And guess what? Then they start looking for homes. And the real magic happens.
Then the home search starts.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you mentioned pre-approval, right? Mm-hmm. I get asked this question often, right? What is the difference between a pre-approval and an underwritten approval?
Okay, so a pre-approval, depending on who issues it to you, really is exactly what I said. Running credit, looking at income and assets to determine what a qualification is. By then, they've already provided us with documentation. The documentation is their W-2s, check stubs, bank statements. We know who they are. We've qualified them. We kind of know that they meet the parameters of whatever type of loan they're going to get. And we issue a pre-approval. Based on experience, we know the loan will get approved. A pre-approval is exactly what I'm issuing them based on my experience and understanding of the guidelines and their qualification. That pre-approval is pretty good. I mean, it's pretty much you're ready to go. If it comes from somebody as myself.
I was going to say that. Right. It is, but it also depends on who it's coming from.
Absolutely.
It depends on the loan officer.
Right.
And that's why who you work with matters,
Yeah. Who you work with matters, not only in lending, but in real estate. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Pat,
especially now, right?
But also let them know, don't buy anything if they're getting ready to buy a house.
No, don't buy anything. Don't look at anybody. Don't qualify with anybody else. Don't co-sign. Don't run your credit. Don't breathe. Just don't breathe until we're done.
Yeah, main thing is don't be co-signing for anyone. Your credit is gold, and keep it for yourself because you're going to need it. And like Pat said, don't go out and buy a car, furniture, nothing, because all this is going to be debt against you if you charge all of this. Correct. So don't be buying anything until you talk to your lender and they'll tell you what to do. And don't pay off any credit cards, nothing. She'll look at it first and then she'll tell you what you need to pay off and what you don't need to pay off.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
And actually, I think that you would probably suggest that all the way through, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
All the way through to the end.
All the way through the end, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Believe it or not, sometimes paying something off drops the credit.
Yeah.
So once we run credit, and let me go back to the soft pull credit. Soft pull credits are okay in the beginning, But once you're in escrow, it's a hard pull. Absolutely. We can't go into an actual approval, which is the second part of what's a pre-approval. Now we want an approval, right? So that's when you're in escrow.
Which is the underwritten approval.
The underwritten approval. So when there are unique situations, going back to your question, what's a pre-approval and what's an approval? They're two different things. The pre-approval is what I issue when people are looking for a home, and they're good for as long as the credit is good, which is about 90 days. We update them, we modify them, we go back and forth with the realtor. That's an ongoing thing, right? A pre-approval is when I actually take a full loan application from the borrower and we process it. In other words, their documentation, and it's all, paperless. It's not through like a piece of paper. Yeah. It's all automated. We submit it to our underwriting departments. Underwriters are the official persons within a bank or a direct lender that look at documentation and make sure that it's correct, and they underwrite. Once they say that, oh yeah, your stuff was right, Pat, you submitted this correctly, they do what's called an underwrite, and they determine that this is an approvable loan. So an approval is issued, which is also called a loan commitment. So once that approval is issued by an underwriter, it just gives a little bit more clout, right? Mm-hmm.
And you're done, basically, just about.
The only time I will bother with that is if we have an unusual borrower with unusual income, with quirks, maybe a credit blemish that I'm concerned about. At that point, I'll make the decision to say, no, don't write any offers. Let's wait. I want to protect the buyer. I want to protect you, Marty. I want to protect you, Isait, from wasting time getting this borrower excited and we can't get them approved. That's what I would use a pre-approval for. And at that point, we're secure. We submit it and to get an approval, and now they can go look for homes.
Yep.
Fantastic.
Yep.
And
it's as good as gold.
And it's good as gold. Well, and then, Marty, because your main focus is listings. So when you receive offers and you receive, along with the offers, receive pre-approvals, right? To
Correct.
show that they are approved. What do you look at when you receive?
When I receive an offer, and I'm like the real estate police, I want to make sure that I even look at the way they filled out the contract. That way I know what kind of agent I'm working with. And then I'm asking for all the supporting documentation on their loan. So if they have a pre-approval or they have an approval, and I want their credit scores and I want their bank statements within 30 days old, and I don't want screenshots, I want to see their names on the bank statements. So, and if something doesn't feel right to me, I might ask them to cross-qualify with one of our lenders like Pat. And because I want to make sure that it's going to close. I don't want to put my seller on a roller coaster ride.
Well, it's important that the lender that you're working with knows what they're doing, because you don't want in the middle of escrow, all of a sudden it falls through.
Yeah, so as a buyer, it's really important that you have a good quality agent. That agent can make all the difference whether you get that house or not by the way they act. Pat did a loan for me. I don't know if you, Pat, the one that you did the Dream for All. Oh, yeah. So I had a higher offer, but the agent that presented the offer wouldn't call me back, wouldn't return my calls, and I'm selling the property over asking. And then I just told my seller, you know what? I'm done with that guy. I said, we'll just take the offer that's, it was $10,000 or $15,000 less, and it was a special program that Pat knew how to do. So we ended up pulling Pat to do the loan. But you know what? 2 weeks later, that agent called me, goes, the house still available? I told the agent, I wish I could call your buyers and tell them that they lost that house because of you, because you did not come through for them. You did not respond to me. You did not sell their offer, to us in any way. On the contrary, you went and hid. So, but like I said, I don't have their number, but I wish I did. I would have called them.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, that is exactly what teamwork does.
But you know what? And it worked out for Pat and that buyer. That buyer was lucky that Pat was able to do this loan, secure the money that they needed, because it was a first-time home buyer loan. So again, who you work with matters. And I cannot tell you how many times we've gotten the transaction because people know the way that we do our business and people want to work with our company. Because I said, I am the real estate police.
Yeah. She's actually a CSI agent. Yeah, she really is.
Yeah.
She can smell problems.
Yeah.
I can smell loan problems.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah. I don't have to hear
I can
much.
Smell real estate problems.
I can look at a credit. This is funny. I can look at a credit report and can tell if somebody has issues with credit because they were divorced or they were sick, I could tell because of the issues that maybe happened in the past. There's an issue.
You know their story.
Yeah, I can tell that anyway, either way, to me, everybody's worthy of a home. But the fact that you have so much experience, you can look at something and know that this is an isolated incident. This is not them permanently.
You can see like a full picture just by seeing the credit report, for example. I think most loan officers will probably just look at the numbers and
They
just
look at the first couple of them. They don't look all the way to the end or the time frames. I can like with, well, I don't want to stereotype, but like I remember seeing a police officer, and they technically or tend to have really good credit, and he didn't. And I said, "Are you divorced?" And he goes, "Yes." I could tell. Why? Because there was an isolated time frame of when there was some blemishes. After that, he was fine and he was able to purchase a home.
Yeah. So then let's talk about when, let's say we get an offer accepted, right? What happens next? I mean, can they immediately lock in the rate, or actually can they lock in a rate even before they find a house? Is that something that a buyer can do?
That's a loaded question. Okay, so
I told you, I have notes here. I told you I was excited about when they were coming here. I have this all down here that I wanted to ask you. So
yeah. When the market is like right now, that finally we're stabilizing in our interest rates, it's better to float. Float means you're now in escrow, and we talk about rates. So if you get an offer accepted, the first thing we're going to do is rediscuss what we talked about when you got pre-approved. How much do you need? Maybe change the program, what the payments are based on today. So can you lock? Absolutely. But when we're in a market like we are today, where the market now is, and I mean rates, are going to start to improve or stabilize, you want to float. Why? Because you could potentially be locking it, and if you had just waited, maybe you'll get a better rate. Secondly, if you're not closing for 60 days because the seller's not ready, we want to wait. We have time. So that time is going to benefit you. If we are in a volatile market where things are constantly crazy and they're going up like we have been in the last year and a half, that's when you want to lock. You want to lock to secure the payment that you already committed to. The last thing we want is for you to be stuck with a higher rate, potentially that you can't even qualify for anymore. So
yeah,
it's your choice.
Mm-hmm.
And then for people out there that might not have access or are not nearby or something, they don't have access to your expertise, for example. How do they know if they're getting the best rate or the best program offered to them? Is there maybe something like a tip that you can provide that maybe they can, questions they can ask or things they can search for to see what?
I'll have to tell you that people today are pretty savvy.
Yeah.
They are a lot savvier than when I started.
Yeah, for sure.
They know. Our Latino buyers, for example, they know. They get a lot of information. So they come in pretty prepared. I think that the lender that they choose, and hopefully it's me, right? Yeah. They know they're making the right decision because you've explained everything. If you're not being explained and feel comfortable with every part of the process, you're not with the right lender. If you're not getting something in writing as to how much you need, what your payments are, whether it's printed or an email, you are not aware of it when you're going into an escrow or even looking for property, you're not with the right lender. You need to have the blueprint of what you are getting yourself into. And that blueprint is that breakdown, right? Yeah. That fee schedule.
And when you're with the right person, it feels good.
Feels right.
You know that you're going to feel that she made you feel comfortable, that you trust her, and it's all about the trusting and being, and when you know your business and you know it well, when you speak to your client, they're gonna feel it. They're gonna know, I trust this person. I went on a listing appointment yesterday. She had interviewed 3 people, and then she said, I'm gonna talk to my son. I'm gonna wait. We kept talking. She goes, you know what? No, she goes, I just feel good about you and I trust you. She goes, let's go ahead and let's list this house. Okay.
That's the best feeling when they say I trust you, or when they cry.
Yes, and she did.
They cry and they hug you and they feel like And I'm like, I'm just doing what I do. I'm like, who am I?
And she cried because she's moving to Austin. She's lived here her whole life, but her boys are in Austin. And so she needs to be near her boys. And it was, we cried together too.
Yeah. I try to say, there's no crying. There's no crying in mortgage, okay? But there is.
There is.
Because we're not salespeople at the end of the day.
And
we're dream makers. We're like facilitators of dreams.
Yes.
Yeah. The dreams of homeownership.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And sometimes when they get that first house, boy, they are so excited, so happy. It's a time to laugh and it's a time to cry.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I had, and when that same client, like we have right now, buys that second house, and they're young.
Yeah.
We did that.
Yeah.
We did that. It's like we created. It's like your baby.
You talking about David?
Did that.
You talking about David?
David's one. Yeah, I have two right now. Yeah, David's one of them.
Yeah.
Oh, David, you're on our podcast.
Yeah.
You know who you are.
Yeah. Yes.
I think as a consumer, I try to relate to as a buyer, right? And I put my hat on as a consumer. And I think sometimes when we want something and we desire something really badly, right? And we just something that we really hope for, in this case, become a homeowner. I think just the fact of just getting approved, right, is all that we desire. Mm-hmm. But if I can add to that, is not just, as you buyers out there, don't just look for being approved by a lender. Look for an experience like this. Right? Because you're worth more than just getting approved. Mm-hmm. You're worth having somebody work for you that is fighting for you to achieve your goals, your dream, and do the best for you as possible. Uh-huh. And that is what you should be searching for, because you're worth it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't stop when we close escrow.
No.
And you get the keys. The lender is the point of contact for you after. Do you know how much mail you're going to get after? You don't call the post office to see where's this all coming from. You call the lender. The relationship continues. When you start getting property tax bills, when you start seeing mortgage payments, or, who do I make the mortgage payment to? It's the lender. So this is a long-term relationship. Yeah. And that's why you'll often see me say #lender for life, because they are. We're lifers. We become your friend. We become your consultant and your advisor in all things mortgage, and sometimes real estate. It just depends. Mm-hmm. But I stay in my lane and I leave that to them.
Right.
But they don't stay in their lane though. They
Well, we're quarterbacks.
Yeah. It's teamwork, and because we know what we're talking about, we can advise. Yeah. We really can.
Yeah.
And how does someone know whether they're being charged? I'm sorry.
I was going to say, that's why, I do real estate, Pat does loans. I don't want to do what she does, and she doesn't want to do what I do. No. Because when you have the waiter and the chef, sometimes you have a conflict, when they want to do both. Yeah. That can be a conflict.
Yeah, and that happens a lot now. Mm-hmm. Very few people I know can do it well. Mm-hmm. Very, very few people. Yeah. So, I think we're different. Everybody stay in their lane. That's how we like to say it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. At me.
No, I was just going to ask you, so how does somebody know whether they're being charged any hidden fees, like points without knowing or anything like that? Is that something that they can identify, and how?
Okay, so nothing for life is free, period. You get what you pay for. Couple of statements that you get what you pay for. Nothing is free in life. There is, you have to watch if you're not getting that estimate, as I discussed earlier, up front, you know what it is. There's nothing hidden. If you get into escrow and it's twice as high, there's something hidden, right? So having the clarity, that blueprint from the beginning is important. Fees, there's going to be fees. We have a lot of third-party fees. The lender, unfortunately, has the burden to disclose all of that. Appraisals, escrow, title, recording, give me some more, credit reports. Those are not our fees. That's all the fees that it takes to purchase a home.
But you have to disclose them.
We're the ones that have the burden to do that. Yes, to disclose. And we overdo it. That way, I would rather and close coming in less than coming in more. Mm-hmm. So the hidden fees are, if you don't do this up front, there's going to be, potentially there'll be additional fees added. Now, points, costs, it depends on the loan that they want. There are down payment assistance programs that, yes, the fees are up front and they cost more, but what are the benefits? You get a house, you have closing costs, you have a down payment included. They're not going to be your going rates. They're going to be higher. Are they beneficial? 150,000% they're beneficial. So they're pretty standard. They're not, they don't vary from loan officer to loan officer. They're pretty much the same. It's going to be up to the borrower to determine if they choose to pay points to buy a lower rate. In my opinion, I don't think that would be a wise decision, but they're their decisions. So how you avoid that is getting that estimate up front. That estimate, and it's called a fee schedule. And that way they know exactly what to expect from the beginning. There's nothing hidden and there's nothing sinister and there's nothing, they don't feel that you didn't tell me this. No, we did look at, and it matches. Mine pretty much always match from the time you get pre-approved to the time that they close. Pretty similar.
Great. You touched on down payment assistance. Do you want to maybe talk about that a little bit?
Shall we?
Let's do it.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Well, especially because it's coming up. So I think that's something that everybody's going to want to know a little bit about at least.
Well, by the time this airs,
that's true.
We'll probably already be.
Okay.
There'll be some. Okay. So down payment assistance, people that want to buy, they have great credit or they have okay credit, minimum FICOs, sometimes 620, sometimes 640. If you can qualify, but you're just a little short on cash, we have a down payment assistance program for you. Most of them will require some sort of income restriction or a sales price restriction. So that's something that I'll be able to tell pretty immediately once we start getting you qualified. There are some programs that are for first responders. There are some for teachers. So it's all part of your approval process. Even if you walk in, you say, I have 10% down, I don't need any of that. Well, I'll let you know if you need any of that, because it may be the difference of you getting an offer accepted. Let's just say that you need your closing costs paid for and the seller doesn't want to pay. A down payment assistance could be that bridge of getting that property. So whether you want it or not, I'm going to propose it to you, put it out there for you to consider, because it's not my decision. A down payment assistance program is your decision if you qualify.
And just know that not all lenders do down payment assistance, and some just don't want to do it because it's a lot of work. So make sure that somebody's telling you it's not available, because it is available. There are lenders like Pat that know the programs and know how to put them together. And I don't know if you want to just touch on Dream for All as well.
Well, some of the down payment assistance programs, the more popular one, of course, is the California, CalHFA, which always exists. But the Dream for All is coming. That one's going to be very unique. It's phase 2. That one will start a registration in the CalHFA portal. There's so much information on this topic. I think it's best for to reach out to us. But it starts. There's going to be a portal open with CalHFA from April 3rd to the 28th, I believe. Basically, the month of April. That is when qualified clients that we've already pre-qualified and issued their Dream for All certificate, pre-approval certificates, will then be registered into their system. CalHFA will do all their back stuff, checking them, doing their quality control to make sure that those borrowers are within the guidelines that they've already set. In May, all these people, there will be about 2,200 of them that will be potential lotto winners. So we will not know if you're going to get it anyway. So there is no risk. You might as well try, because you might be that golden ticket winner of a CalHFA Dream for All, 150,000 or 20%. It's pretty phenomenal.
Yeah.
They will have 90 days to identify a property. It's going to be pretty strict. If you don't identify the property by that time, you'll lose it. There'll be there's going to be a wait list for people.
So Pat, explain to them, the $150,000 is a down payment by the state of California.
Correct.
So the state of California will own $150,000 or whatever percentage that is of the property you're purchasing. Okay, so you'll own, for example, they own 20%, you own 80. And then when you go to sell it, they will get 20% of that.
It's called a shared appreciation.
Shared appreciation. Marty. But what you can do when it appreciates, you can buy the state of California out, and then they're out of your way, and now it becomes your house. And now you've had an opportunity to become a homeowner.
Correct.
You know, I was looking at some numbers based on what you're talking about. And so, for example, somebody that gets about $150,000 in today's rates adds up to a little over $1,000 a month.
Oh no, yes, I love. You know what?
Zero interest, by the way.
Zero interest. But you know what? I love this. He does a really good job explaining. So, you guys, listen closely. Start over again. I'd really like this.
No, so I was looking at what it would cost for a loan of $150,000 in today's rates, roughly a little over $1,000 a month. Now they don't have to pay a monthly payment on that portion, so they're saving. Technically, they would be saving.
So you're saying in the event that they had to pay monthly on this $150,000, what would it cost?
Correct. Yes, exactly.
Perfect.
Thanks for clarifying that.
Good enough.
They would have to pay a little over $1,000 a month. Let's say in 5 years, that's a savings of over $60,000. But now, let's say that house appreciated $100,000. $100,000, 20% of that, the shared appreciation.
That's what it is.
It's 20%, which would be $20,000. So you would pay the state $20,000 for utilizing this program, but you're saving over $60,000 by not making payments on that portion of it, which allowed you to get into the home, lower the loan amount to help you have a lower payment. And at the end of the day, you're coming out on a positive. Right?
And you have now had the tax benefits.
Yeah.
Your property has gone up in value.
And the
equity is
interest.
money in your pocket. Remember, that's a bank account. That's savings. So even though the state is only going to get 20% of the difference.
The appreciation.
The appreciation. And there's a cap. Let's just say in 30 years, you bought a house for $4 million and now it's worth $1.5 million. You never know because it happens. There's going to be a cap. They're not going to get 20% of all that equity. They don't do that. So they're very restrictive. This can't stay on the property for 30 years. Now, again, let's recap. This is going to be gone at the end of April. So we are excited about it. And once these 150s start to get paid off in the future, they will be putting it back in for the same program. So maybe this is going to be a continuance. And hopefully that is the case.
This is a great way, if you don't have any money, that you can still purchase a house, even though they own a percentage someday, in hopes that you'll be able to pay them back and then own the house outright on your own.
Yeah.
And now you're a homeowner and you're a homeowner forever. Yeah. It's awesome.
It's an incredible program.
No, it is. It's an amazing program.
Now, income restrictions apply, et cetera. You have to be a first generational home buyer. A lot of, there's a lot of rules about it, but it's stuff that we can get into in the pre-approval process.
Good. Well, we're getting close to wrapping it up, but do you have anything else that you want to share with us?
Now's the time. Spring has sprung.
Yeah.
Spring has sprung.
Spring has sprung. Take the dive. Get it qualified. Don't wait for the rates to drop, because once the rates drop, everybody is going to be wanting to buy.
And there's going to be a lot of competition.
We'll give you a nice comparison of what it will cost you to wait if you think that by waiting 6 months and getting the lower rate, what you're going to actually miss out on is in 6 months is the fact that property is going to go up about 5% more. So you will actually lose. So there's a lot of comparisons and explanations as to why they would want to get into this now. Yeah. It's going to be a crazy market this year.
Well, and after my 46 years in the business, it's always a good time to buy. Because, I've seen the market, like I told you, up and down, but prices have still gone up. Yeah. So it's always the right time. If you can afford it, do it now. And if you can't, start getting yourself ready and make it happen. Become a homeowner.
Well, we're going to be wrapping up right now. I just want to say thank you to our guest, Pat. Thank you so much. You're just full of knowledge, and it was just a very interesting conversation.
Thank you. This was really fun. It's great to have that voice to get out, that people know that we're here to help, know a little bit about us personally, right? And help get some more people into homes.
And thank you, everybody, for spending time with our podcast. Real Talk with Marty, and we look forward to seeing you next month again. Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.